People think the end times are just going to be glorious and that it's just going to be so simple and easy when in fact it may very well not be like that at all. If you know God, if you're close to God and Jesus and God knows, like, he knows your heart. He knows where you're at, what you do, how you do it, how you talk to people, how you treat people. Like, the things you can get past people or say, oh, they just won't know, even though I'm really doing this or I feel like that. Well, God knows. He knows. And people aren't always honest with themselves. People want to paint this glorious picture, and yes, when it's all said and done and you're in heaven, it is amazing. Like, we don't know, we haven't been there, but if we make it to heaven, if you make it to heaven and get to be with God, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be awesome. But that doesn't mean your journey to him, to, like, the whole time you're alive and you're trying to live like God, like, or you're trying to be like Jesus, you're trying to make it to heaven, you're trying to walk that walk. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean before he shows up that you're not going to go through hell. I mean, you might not make it before he shows up, but he'll know if you're doing the things you need to do, if you're doing your best to walk that walk and live like him, live like Jesus, like, he's going to know. And people, I think where people go wrong sometimes, where a lot of people don't want to come to Jesus, or why people walk away from Jesus, is for the simple fact that people aren't completely honest anymore. People that are supposed to be the ones that preach the word sometimes could be the farthest from it, or they only talk about the good stuff, not the bad stuff. And there are good pastors, there are good followers of Christ. I'm not saying there's not, but we've gotten so far from the truth, so far from God. And churches today, not all, there are good churches, there are good leaders, there are good people in churches, and there are good followers of Christ and bad churches and good. And there's people that try to fix what they see going wrong in churches. So keep that in mind. I'm not dissing on churches and pastors, because there are very good ones. But we've gotten so far into what is like today, how life is today. And it's almost like churches in a sense, it's about making people just be comfortable, even if you don't tell them the full truth, not being completely honest with people. It's more of a place, and there's nothing wrong with this, so please don't take what I'm going to say the wrong way. I know somebody will. Churches became more of a social club in a sense. There's nothing wrong with getting together and Bible study, or just getting together as, friends and hanging out and doing other stuff too. But church, we lost sight of, a lot of us, a lot of churches, a lot of people, a lot of around the world society. I'm not saying everyone, and I'm not talking directly to anyone, but if you look around with church and stuff, church, God, it's like people have taken it completely away from Jesus. Like, Jesus and God, people completely, it's not about that no more. It's just about, oh, hanging out, and oh, you fit in with this person or that person, or oh, like, it's like people are competing with one another. It's all about social status and what's the trend and how good is the coffee? And I'm not gonna lie, like I like to go to church sometimes if they have that good coffee, heck yeah, but our eyes aren't focused on the main thing, why we're there. And I'm not saying that me or you or whoever's watching this video, I'm not saying you, but like if you look at the nation, the world, really pay attention on the outside looking in. We're at a point where you got to be careful, be wise, and God knows what you're doing, even if you try to fool the rest of the people around you. Saying you're with God and that you believe in God and that you follow God, but doing Satan's work on the side, or going with the trends or what society says is okay, or excusing what you do because, oh, well, society approves it, it's popular, people will accept me. Yo, if you're doing things against God or against your beliefs and who you are, who you say you are in Christ, because society accepts it, or people that are in control or run the world accepts it, it's you're not with them, you're not with him. And time, we don't know how much time we have, but time feels like it's really clicking, it's really winding down. But each generation, I'm sure, says that, I'm sure they said that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago. But we're witnessing, we're seeing, we're feeling things now that the Bible talks about. And I'm one of those people that I believe the Bible we see today, I believe that a lot of it has been stripped away. Like, I believe that there are several original Bibles where pieces have been taken, watered down, historical Bibles that have everything in it, not just what we see today. But there's so much more than what we know or what we think we know. Sometimes we have the habit of thinking we know it all when we don't. We're always trying to understand. We'll never fully understand in our human body here on earth. We'll never fully understand everything and how it all works. But we can do our best to understand, to keep learning, to keep, chasing after, Jesus, and, doing the things that we feel in our heart is right to do and that God tells us to do, and just love one another, treat each other with, love, and just, treat each other as people. Not one of us is better than another. And yeah, you can say, oh, what about those people that take people's lives and essay people? Yeah, I'm with you as a human. Yo, that ain't cool, that ain't right, and we have our human ways of dealing with that. I'm with you. I'm just talking about, like, in general. Like, there's no reason for us to be so hateful to one another. There's no reason for us to tear each other down. And the fact that we think because society and people, put everybody in these categories and groups, and there's a very good chance you could be one of those people. But I want to ask you this, or I want to say this: if you are somebody that claims to follow Jesus, you say you're a Christian or you love God, but you treat people or look down on them based on the category you see fit, or what they do for a job, or what clothes they might wear, or what pedestal, society has placed them on. If you look at them less than, you need to ask yourself where your heart lies. And really do that self-evaluation, do that work, ask yourself these questions and like, why am I looking at them different? Why am I treating them different? Because that is not what God calls us to do. And that's not what God would want. God doesn't want us to do that to each other and treat each other bad. And, you know, that saying, the janitor is just as important as the boss. We're all people, we're all somebody. And to say somebody's less than human or that they don't deserve to live based on, their status quo is sickening, whether based on how much money they make or don't make or what kind of house they live in or car they drive. That is sickening, and that is not of God. That's not Jesus, bro. It's not. If how you see people or even yourself, if you only value people based on what they own, I feel sorry for you. I really do. And ask yourself, if those things, say you have those things yourself, were stripped away from you today, would you be happy? Where's will you do you have joy? Do you have joy right now in life? Like, you have to know how to be happy in a sense. I mean, happiness is a feeling that comes and go, but joyful. You gotta learn to be joyful. You gotta learn to just love the fact that you're alive. And if you have water to drink and food to eat, those, at the end of the day, yeah, of course, we're humans. We want things. We want more stuff. Like, we like to have stuff and hobbies, and there's nothing wrong with that. It becomes a problem though if that's what you treasure, if that's the only thing that makes you happy, if that's the only thing that matters. But at the end of the day, being, you know, around people you love, and even if that's happens to be, say, all you have is yourself, you don't have family, might not have any friends currently, whatever the case may be, you you should be happy with who you are, loving yourself, and just find joy in the fact that you're alive. And if you're healthy, that's a bonus. But we really got to get back to what's important, back to, in a sense, we got to hold each other accountable, and without being a bully, be loving. And at the end of the day, it's all about Jesus. It's about coming together. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but the farther we get away from God, seems like the worse, things are becoming. The worse people are treating each other worse and worse each and every day. And I can't say that I can prove that God exists to you. I can't prove anything. Me, myself, I don't know if anybody else can, but me, I cannot. But what I can say is, back when people had values and followed God or had a relationship with God, I can't tell you, like, I'm talking about people that truly follow God, not those people that claim to follow God and treat people like crap or say, oh, these people deserve to be, offed. Or I'm not talking about those people. I'm not talking about people that claim to follow God and treat people like crap and make people want to off themselves or even off people. I'm talking about true followers of God. I can't tell you a time that people were ever worse off. People that follow God, truly follow God, and love people, and just treat humans as humans the best to our ability, that's never done us wrong. Never. Back when we had a sense and, having Jesus in our lives. You know, things were never worse. I mean, there was bad people, bad things happening. You know, that happens throughout life. I don't know how to word this the best, but me, myself, and I can't say that I ever made a worse decision choosing to follow God, choosing to follow Jesus. You know, I've never made a worse decision. I've never reacted the way I would have without my belief or the way I feel about God, what I believe. And anytime I chose to be with God, I've never done anything worse. But on my own, I have. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways, good talk.